Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of SDP Connect. I am a familiar face to some of you in an unfamiliar position. Judy, president of Disability Voices United, normally hosts SDP Connects, but Judy is currently on a very well-deserved vacation. She is actually trekking up the side of a mountain in Nepal, possibly as we speak. So we all wish her a very lovely vacation, and we look forward to her return at the next SDP Connect. Today you are in for a treat because the DVU staff will be hosting. So get excited, get hype. This is our gift to you. But first we have a couple of house cleaning things to take care of. So I'm gonna run through them real quickly. First, I should probably introduce myself in case someone doesn't know who I am. My name is Ed Herzl. I am my pronouns are she, her. I am the Disability Voices United Communications and Development Coordinator. I'll give a brief visual description in case anyone needs it. I'm a white butch with close cropped blonde hair, not as close cropped as I'd like. I need to get to the barber. Wireframe glasses and a button down shirt with a virtual background that has our conference logo in it. So that is foreshadowing for later. I also want to talk about our interpretation. Everyone must select what language they want to hear this meeting in, including English speakers. It's vital that you do this so that if someone who's speaking a different language asks a question, you can hear the simultaneous interpretation. So in order to do that, you're going to want to go to your Zoom bar, which is at the bottom of the screen, your Zoom menu bar. If you're using a mobile device, tap the screen first to pull that bar up. And then you're going to want to look for the little globe icon and click on it. If you can't see a globe icon, click on the icon that looks like 3 dots and says more, and look for, I believe it's labeled language and interpretation. So click on that, and then click the language that you want to hear the meeting in. There are instructions from Kira in the chat in case that wasn't clear enough to you. So, and if you need help, as soon as I'm done doing this, I'll be happy to walk you through it. So now that the housekeeping, oh, no, it's not entirely out of the way. The last thing I wanted to do, this is a reminder to myself as well as my colleagues, is to remind our speakers to speak at a moderate pace to accommodate our fabulous interpreters, and also my best friend, the auto captioning. So now that we have that out of the way, I'm very excited to introduce our topic for this week. As you may have guessed, it is our fabulous Breaking Through Barriers Self-Determination Conference for this year. So last year's theme, if you recall last year, and we had our first virtual conference, if I do say so, it went pretty darn well for being our first virtual conference, and we got great reviews from folks. A lot of you really liked the format. So we're doing virtual again this year. Last year's theme, if you recall, was all in for self-determination, because open enrollment was opening up. We wanted to make sure everyone who wanted to get started right away and hit the ground running had the tools that they needed to help get in this program, and that professionals had the tools they needed to help stand this program up, right? Well, now a lot of folks are entering their second year, and some folks are even entering their third year and beyond. And we have a greater understanding of what we need to do to make this program a program that works for everybody. Because some people have been running into barriers, right? So this conference is about breaking barriers. It's about ensuring the long-term success of the self-determination program by breaking those barriers and ensuring people have the tools they need to make the most of this program. So what is a barrier? Barriers in this context are things that are preventing you from getting the most out of your self-determination journey. So a barrier might be something that keeps you from entering the program in a timely manner, or it might be something that keeps you from accessing everything you need, or it might be something that keeps you from making changes to the program once you're already in and you feel like you've got a fulsome understanding of the program, and so on. These are just some examples. If you find yourself saying, oh man, I'm really interested in self-determination, but I don't have a whole lot of support and I'm really not sure where to get started. There's a lot of information. that can be a barrier. If you find yourself saying, I'm trying to enter self-determination, I can't get phone calls returned from my coordinator or my provider, and I don't know what to do at this stage, that can be a barrier. If you are saying, hey, there's this requirement or this process that I'm having trouble meeting or not understanding and no one's assisting me through it, that's a barrier. If you're a professional, lack of clarity around the process that you're assisting with or the services you're supposed to be providing, that can be a barrier for you, right? So all of these things are things that we're gonna tackle and talk about in our conversations with you at the conference. We're gonna be talking about how we approach and dismantle all these barriers and more. So whether you know a lot about the SDP and you care about making this program work, or you know nothing, you're just really interested in the opportunity for you, if you're a participant, or for your loved one, if you're a family member, to direct your own lives. Or if you're kind of in the middle and you're just really overwhelmed with all the information that you're receiving, or you just feel like you need some help, this is the conference for you, no matter what experience level that you're dealing with, because this is going to help you understand the program itself, the players in the program, who's responsible for decision making, who is responsible for holding pieces of the system accountable, and how can they be induced to do so? What are your options for resolving a dispute if you feel like you have one, and so on, as well as the possible solutions to any barriers you're experiencing. So I hope you can tell I'm very, very excited about this conference. The program we're developing it right now, and it's going to be really fabulous, very helpful. And to talk a little bit more about that, I would like to turn things over to our Director of Communication Rights Projects, Darlene Hansen. Darlene, take it away.
Thanks, Ed. All right, well, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Now, what we're going to do today is we prepared segments of information for you, but we're hoping that once we get done with all of that, put in either questions about what we end up saying, or put in ideas about what you really, really need to know about self-determination in your life, okay? Because we are telling our speakers what we need them to talk on. And you may have, and you probably do have, some questions and things that you want answered. And so tonight's a night where we're gonna take that information and feed that into our speakers' profiles, okay? So Christina, I think you're doing it, right? All right. So the name of the conference is Breaking Through Barriers, Advancing Self-Determination. And again, we don't want barriers to be a scary word, but it was the softest one we could think of. So we're going to be breaking through barriers. All right, let's go to who should attend. Ed kind of went through all that in her wonderful narrative, but let's really think about this, okay? If you're a person who's starting SDP, and this conference is going to give you information, not really about how to get started. You can go to trainings with your regional centers. And then of course you can also check our SDP Connect recordings in the archives, and there's tons of information, and we're going to be organizing that so it's a little clearer because there's so much information in there. But the point of this conference is that if you're getting started, you are going to hear people that you're interacting with talk about these different points, talk about FMS, talk about budget changes, talk about all these things that you don't necessarily have an experience with yet. So even if you're just getting started, it's good to have this information so that when you hear these words, you can go, okay, I think I've heard this before. Where did I hear it? What did I hear them say? All right. So people getting started are going to get that kind of level of support. People, of course, if you're currently in self-determination, you know exactly what you need help with. This is a transitional time for California in self-determination being part of our lives. And so there's little blips that are happening for people, but we don't want them to be stone walls, right? I should change my background because I put the stone wall up. We don't want them to be stone walls. We want them to be just blips that we're going to move through and past. So this is going to be, that's really the focus of the whole session. The reason we wanted to give this information to you all is because we want to make sure that self-determination is sustainable. And it's going to be sustainable and maintained when all of you feel supported and productive in your lifestyle that you're creating for yourself. So we want this to be helpful in that manner. Of course, it's a independent facilitators. You guys need all the information, right? Always have to be up on everything. And there's going to be conversations about FMSs. Are they here? Are they not here? How do they fit in my world? Who do I talk to? All those kinds of things are going to come up. So we're going to have those conversations. So if you're an FMS and you want to hear from the constituents, or if you are thinking about FMSs, there's going to be those conversations. Regional center staff, of course, keep everybody informed. If you're a service provider, some people have agencies that are working for them. Some people are an agency that is supporting. You might be a community-based Taekwondo company that's helping out with it, that's serving people. And so this can help you understand more information. And of course, family members, and then you, all the persons who are self-determined, we want you to join too. So that kind of covers the who. Let's go to the what to expect. We're going to problem solve with you. There's going to be a panel, our typical format. Okay. We have our speakers that we open up with, and then we'll have the breakout sessions. And there will be, in the breakout sessions, there will be panelists speaking on those topics. So they're going to help you problem solve some of these barriers. Okay. You're going to have, you're going to hear from FMS people on what's happening in their world. You're going to think about running your self-determined life. There was going to self-advocates and people, self-determined persons are going to speak about how to, and families, make this work for yourself. It can get, it's a definitely should be, and should feel like a difference if it's done right, right? We're going to talk about accountability and oversight. Okay, we're all being held to accountability, and regional centers are being held to accountability. And how's this all working for us? You're also going to talk about support from others in the community, who's available, who's doing what. You're going to expect to stay informed and move forward. And we're going to have our wonder rooms back. Now, last year, self-determination conference, that was a fun thing. Everybody liked that. So for those of you who weren't there, there's an opportunity in the wonder rooms where you can get together with like-minded people to talk about certain topics. You can move around from conversations. Visualize if you were in person at a conference and you went to meeting room A, meeting room B, meeting room C, and they each had their own little topics just where you talk with each other. That's it, but it's virtual. So it was a lot of fun last year. So those are going to be available as well. So you get, this is online. The app we're using this year is called Whova, WHOVA. And a number of us have used this on different conferences that we've done in the past 2 years. And they've been a good platform that's been helpful and pretty easy to use. When Monica starts talking, it gets intimidating, and Kira, but the reality is it's pretty easy to use once you're on the front side of it. And so so that means we're going to find you in your home. Okay, you get to stay home and do the conference the way you like to do conferences. And next, it's going to be Friday, December 2nd from 8:30 to 4:30, again, online, but 8:30 to 4:30. All right, that's Friday, December 2nd. So we have about a month and a half. And why would you want to do this? Well, if you're new to SDP, because you got to stay informed, things move fast. And so you want to stay informed. You want to know what's up ahead, in a sense, right? Be proactive. If you're already in SDP and you're living your life, because you're living your life and these things are coming in your way. These, we're calling them barriers, but these obstacles, these moments, these glitches, they're coming, right? And they're living, and you're in that. And because you want to learn more, you want to stay informed, or you have questions. This is a place where you're going to get to ask questions. Now, we put on this slide a reminder, this is not a step-by-step guide to getting started. Okay, we're not dissing that experience. There are beginner topics, but we're not going to walk you step-by-step through getting into self-determination. Where can you find that information? In SDP Connect. Okay, you have to piece it together, but we have all the information you need to get yourself in to SDP. The regional center has their orientation. That's where you start and all that, but really the information wise, we're asking you to go to the SDP Connect archives for that if you need step-by-step assistance. So this will be a little bit more robust. And so I'm going to turn it over to Kira, I think, right? Monica. Who am I turning it to?
Okay. Yeah. So the how to register on Whova. So sorry about that. I was not ready for this page. So basically, how to register. You're going to register through the Whova app. You can find registration at disabilityvoicesunited.org. So you can go to our website, you can go to our events page, click on Breaking Through the Barriers, and it's really clearly indicated where to register. And thank you. It looks like Christina's going to go ahead and show us where it is. So Christina went to disabilityvoicesunited.org. She clicked on her events page and has landed on the clicked on Breaking Through the Barriers. And from there, you can scroll down, get the information, the date, the Spanish version. Thank you. So we do have registration in both English and Spanish. Again, this is some of the stuff that we've been talking about, who is included. Registration costs. This is a great thing to consider right now. You still are eligible for the early bird registration. That is good through, it says November 1st here, but it's actually good through November 9th. So sorry about that, but November 10th is when our registration costs go up from $75 for individuals to $100. For professionals on November 10th, the rates go up from $150 to $200, and we'll have this corrected on the website soon enough. But the bottom line is you have close to 3 weeks to get the early bird registration in. So very simply go through the Whova registration and do that. For individuals, okay, so we're walking through the registration. This is great because it's really clear who you're registering for. So are you a family member or are you a participant from the regional center? So the first one is for the regional center funded ticket. And the reason we have different regional center funded, then you'll see our next ticket is FMS funded tickets, is because we need different information from you. In the regional center ticket, for example, I need to know the individual served by the regional center, their UCI number, your service coordinator's name and contact information. All of that information isn't the same for an FMS funded ticket. So we have different information that we need from the FMS funded tickets there. So be sure to identify what the correct ticket you're looking for. So starting with these first two tickets that I've touched on, the early bird regional center funded ticket and the early bird SDP participant, meaning you are already in the self-determination program. I like going back to the Whova page, whoever's driving. Awesome, thank you. So in here, you'll notice that the price for the regional center and the SDP participant is free. So that's because either the regional center is paying or your FMS is paying. The conference itself is not free. It's $75, but you are not paying out of pocket like our third option, self-pay early bird registration, which means when you register, you're going to put down that payment information and pay $75. In a moment, I will talk about the specifics for regional center funded and FMS funded and how we'll follow up on that. So you'll see the other options here. Self-pay, you'll just go through the process. We don't need as much information from you. I don't need to know a UCI number or anything like that. Early bird professionals, we want to know some information about you. So you'll have your questions you go through there. A little bit later in our conversation, we will talk about all the great things that you get with your registration, but there's also an option to add on additional items. And I've looked through the registration. I see people have already ordered DVU face masks. People have already ordered books. So you can add on books, t-shirts, and face masks and check out here. They will be sent to you later. So don't think I paid for them. I should be getting a package soon. One thing is that the book that you're ordering, the Thinking Outside of the Box, is going to be the most updated version, and it's literally being completed this month. So we will have them by December, but we don't quite have them yet. So let's see. So that's registration. It's all done through the Whova app. After you've completed your registration, once our conference is launched, then you will receive an email and you'll have access to Whova and you'll look at our agenda and things like that. But at the moment, we're still building it out. So the only action for you to take is to register for the conference and pay for it. And then there's other next steps for regional center and FMS funding that I'm happy to move on in the slides. So for regional center funding, thank you, Christina. The first step, if you are registering as a participant served by the regional center or a family member of someone served by the regional center, your first step is still to register through Whova. You will receive an email confirmation from Whova that says, thank you, you're pre-registered. You have some next steps to take. So your next step is to contact your regional center. You let them know, I am interested in going to the self-determination conference. And here's our vendor number. DVU's vendor number is PH2437. Every regional center will need that number. So your next step is to contact your service coordinator. Next slide, please. From there, once you've contacted your service coordinator, that's just like any other service you're requesting, then they will complete a purchase of service. It's my understanding that all regional centers fund up to a certain amount of money for conferences annually, and our conference being at 75 early bird or $100 falls well within your couple $100 limit. So the next step is that regional centers going to create a purchase of service, which will be sent to DVU. I have my email in here, monica@dvunited.org. I have had service coordinators send them directly to me. They will also mail them, but that tells me that you're funded. So that is the proof that I'm looking for. Once I receive that proof, I will confirm with you, the registrant, via email. So what happens if you contact your regional center and maybe a month goes by and you haven't heard from me? contact me, email me, and ask me if I've received anything from your service coordinator. I will, not just me, but DVU will accept a service coordinator emailing me saying, we have started the process for authorization. The bottom line is we will have a lot of fantastic information that we want to share with people. So as long as you have done your part and contacted the regional center and they have confirmed that they're going to pay for it, perhaps on December 2nd, I don't have that purchase of service in hand, but I have a string of emails that you've copied me on and that the service coordinator said, they will be funded, blah, blah, blah. You're all good. So if there's an instance where your regional center has denied paying for this conference for any reason, contact me. One example of that is the regional center, Orange County, OCRC. Currently, they are the only regional center that DVU is not vendored with. They have a very specific insurance requirement that involves involves covering molestation and things like that that can't possibly happen on a virtual conference. So they have decided to not vendor us. So they are the one regional center with a specific insurance requirement that prohibits them from vendoring us. Now, I've talked with one participant from the regional center of Orange County, and they have paid out of pocket and will be reimbursed by Regional Center of Orange County. So especially if you're with Orange County, hop on that ball, start talking to your service coordinator. I can't say that across the board they're going to reimburse. Start the conversation now and copy me on anything, and I'm happy to get any information to them that I can. So once the platform is launched, once the Whova platform is launched, all registrants will receive confirmation saying the platform is launched, and then you can start getting in there, looking at the agenda, networking with other attendees. That is the same for regional center funded participants, even if I haven't received your POS. But what could happen is if we're coming down to December 2nd and you haven't taken any action with your regional center, you will not be allowed access to the conference. So if you have extenuating circumstances, reach out to me, email me. So that's regional center in a nutshell. Register through Whova, contact your service coordinator, keep me in the loop, monica@dvunited.org. Very similar process with individuals funded by an FMS. So again, you're going to start with complete your Whova registration. From there, contact your FMS and your regional center service coordinator to let them know that you want funds. You want funds to be a line item for this conference. Now, many people have indicated that they already have it in your spending plan to attend a conference. So you just need to take the next step and indicate that it's $75 and, you know, Disability Voices United, give them our conference information. So one thing is you have to put the cost in your spending plan. So register early, so you only have to pay $75. And also, if you have your spending plan already itemized in such a way that there's no room for this conference, you might need to move items around so that you can allot the $75 to our move funds from one line item to another. So I think we can go to the next slide. So similar to regional center paid registration, FMSs have different ways they want to be billed. I've spoken with Mainsail, and they want me to send one giant list of all our registrants to them. I've spoken with GT, and they're figuring out what they want from DVU. But if you're already in the self-determination program, go through your typical steps to get a service paid for. If that means you need an invoice from DVU, email me and I'll get you an invoice. Again, monica@dvunited.org. I am available to help you every step of the way. So when the Whova platform launches and our registration, and you've already registered, you'll receive that email and you'll have access to the platform, the agenda, the networking, even though we haven't received your payment yet. So we can continue to work on payment and you will continue to have access. But if you haven't taken any action steps by December 2nd, we won't be able to allow you to join the conference. So send any specific questions to me in email and I will be happy to help you out. I think that's it in a nutshell. I will transition back to Darlene, who's going to share some more, and I'll pop my email in the chat.
Go for it, Ed.
Oh,
Thank you, Darlene. Appreciate that.
I think Tim has something to say.
Oh, Tim, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
My name is Tim and I am the Vice Chairperson at the Local Advisory Committee for Self-Determination in Orange County. Our next committee meeting is on October 24th on Zoom. I advised everyone from Orange County to come to this meeting and let your voices heard that you want to attend the conference, and the committee will work on a plan.
Great.
thank you. Thank you, Tim. So that's another thing people can email me about too. If that comes to be that something comes out of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to echo, thank you, Tim. Christina, could you please get the slides back up whenever possible? Thank you so much. Thank you. Also, I just want to shout out Christina Rizzo, our other program assistant, who is doing a super fabulous job of running this presentation. I know from experience it's not easy. So you may be asking, what does my registration include? Last year, if you came last year, there were all sorts of really cool add-ons that I was able to get with my registration. Does anything come with my registration this year? Yes. So first of all, you'll get access, of course, to the entire conference, all our main sessions, all of our breakouts. You will be mailed an updated copy of our Think Outside the Box book, which is, Judy likes to call it the SDP manual or the SDP Bible. It is super comprehensive and it contains almost everything you would need to know about the self-determination program. You will have access to our very well reviewed from last year SDP Expo. That's going to have dozens of exhibitors. I've already gotten a couple of inquiries in my messaged privately to me from exhibitors asking, hey, when can I register? Very soon. We don't have a registration page for exhibitors specifically yet, but we'll have one before you know it. Please make sure you're signed up for our emails. You will also have access to the Wonder Rooms. So the Wonder Rooms, as Darlene explained earlier, just very briefly, is basically like a virtual conference hall. You can walk around by dragging this little avatar of your face around, and you can join conversations that are virtual conversations by dragging your avatar into a circle of other folks who are talking. So that might be parents of transition age youth. That might be self-advocates in Northern California. That might be independent facilitator chat. We had a bunch of groups like that in the Wonder Room last year. People really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed moderating them. So everyone, I'm sure, is looking forward to that. The other thing is you will also have access to recordings of the conference. I want to be very clear about two things. One, that means that all the main sessions and all of our breakouts will be recorded. So if you say, oh, I really want to go to the independent facilitator breakout at this time, but I also am super interested in supported decision-making and the session on that, they're at the same time. That's okay. Pick whichever one you want to go to, flip a coin, do whatever you need to do, pick one, and then you'll be able to watch that other session after we edit the recordings and upload them. The second thing I want to make clear, with my apologies, is that there will be some sessions that are done entirely in Spanish. Those sessions obviously will be recorded in Spanish, and that recording will be preserved and you'll be able to access them. Unfortunately, my understanding, and Kira, just jump right in and correct me if I'm incorrect, please, because I don't want to give people wrong information, is that we are not going to be able to record language interpretations of sessions, which means that only the English will be available. I understand that this is a barrier. I apologize. We have not found a way around. We are using Whova and Zoom to do this conference. Zoom doesn't provide, it is a technical issue with Zoom that is preventing us from doing this right now. I apologize. We are continually looking into ways to rectify that, but that's something to be aware of. However, if you're an English speaker, you'll have access to all of those recordings. And again, the Spanish only sessions will of course be recorded and uploaded in Spanish. So in short, registration includes all these great things. That manual in itself, honestly, I truly believe is worth the price of admission. We're working on updating it right now. And I think it's a really, I know I work here, guys, but I think it's a really good deal.
A lot changed in the year, so we have to update it.
That's exactly right, Darlene. A ton even this year changed. So it'll be good to have the updated manual, even if you've already got the old edition.
Yeah.
So could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. We had some really lovely comments from our 2021 conference that we wanted to share with you in case this is your first time going to a DVU event and you're not really sure, like, hey, is this going to be worth the price out of my budget? The short answer is yes. The long answer is, here are some things that folks told us last year that we've compiled onto this slide. So we actually had a couple of people say, oh my goodness, I found my independent facilitator at your exhibitor expo. Or I found a service provider that I was looking for at your exhibitor expo. I found a provider who offers this specific service, social skills services, that I've been looking for and I haven't been able to find in my area. Other people said that they really liked meeting people in the expo. They liked the opportunity to network. So that's very exciting. And in that vein, a lot of folks said that they really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with other people in the Wonder Rooms. A lot of virtual conferences don't really have a replacement for that kind of organic networking. Ugh, that sounded really corporate. Let me rephrase. For that natural way that you meet people with your same interests at a conference, right? They don't have a replacement for you just bumping shoulders with someone in the dining hall and saying, oh, you're a self-advocate in Orange County, me too, or I'm a service provider in Orange County, or, you know, meeting people that way. It's not quite the same thing, but I have to say the Wonder Room is really cool, and it does provide you the opportunity to hang out with other conference attendees, whether they're self-advocates, family members and supporters, professionals, who are interested in the same things you're interested in. So that's a really cool feature that we're really excited about, and we're excited to bring it back for everyone who enjoyed it. Christina, is there another slide?
That's
Fabulous.
it.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to open it up to your questions, and I've got quite a few of them in the chat. I want to remind you that you can either ask your question out loud by raising your hand. And the way that you can do that is by going to the Zoom bar at the bottom of your screen, clicking reactions and clicking raise hand. Please don't physically raise your hand. I'm not going to be able to see it. There's 144 of you on my screen right now. And then the other way that you can do it, if you're like, hey, I would rather not speak out loud, I can voice your question for you, and then I will bop it over to someone who has the expertise to answer it, or they'll jump in as necessary. If you want to ask your question anonymously, private message it to me and I'll be happy to put it on the list. Thanks. So I don't see any hands raised. So what I'm
gonna throw it to Nina because I cut her off.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Darlene. Go right ahead.
Nina, is there anything you want to add that we did not say that you were saying so well?
No, you got, first of all, so great. I mean, after Ed had her opener, I felt we could all, and just end right there. It was so great. And then everything you covered, Darlene, was fabulous. I guess I would just share that we at DVU have been fretting just that people would be concerned that maybe people won't join who are just starting out, because it isn't going, as Darlene mentioned, it's not a step-by-step, it's not kind of SDP 101. However, we just wanted to emphasize, and you've probably heard it throughout, it really is, whether you're just starting out, just thinking about it, just at the beginning phases, or already in it, maybe feel like, okay, I'm good. This is it is so important to us that you join us, because this is really about, as Ed also emphasized, building together a sustainable program, a program that will last. And there have been barriers, there have been tons of glitches, but there's also been some people really are starting to experience the real benefits of this. And I guess when we were talking, well, over time, I guess I have to confess that I have been in the kind of getting started mode for a very long time. And my colleagues, my wonderful DVU colleagues, and I'm talking to you, Tim, here, often give me grief for not getting off the dime here. And of course, I'll use 1,000, life gets in the way, it does, and all sorts of things. So I just wanted to share that I'm looking forward to this conference to give me inspiration and energy and empower me, because hearing when we're kind of working to put together panels, they are on a great array of issues about IFs, FMSs, just all, self-advocate experience. And I think just getting a sense of how the program really works from the inside out, what the issues are, what the players are encountering, and what their perspectives are, that will make it easier for you. I feel like I'm going to be in a better position to tackle the step-by-step. And so we are getting so energized about it. I hope that comes across. As we're putting this together, I think we have a renewed sense of what a great thing this is. So again, that's all I would have said, but Ed and Darlene, awesome. And all of you, Monica, Kira, everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina. Much
Thanks,
appreciated.
Hey, Ed, we should go through a few, just because there's some poignant questions here that didn't get answered in our conversation.
Yes, I have them listed.
Oh, you do? Okay. So I was just going to start with FMS is a financial management system.
Yes, I have. So I actually answered that question. So FMS is a financial management system, which is the person who, or not the person, which is
service. Yeah. Financial.
Right. Thank you. The service that assists, that actually pays out whether it's your service providers, the people who get you, or the people who give you services, or whether it's yourself, if you're in the self-determination program, going to conferences, purchasing goods that are part of your spending plan. They're the ones who actually do that work. So I did answer that in the chat, but always good to revisit it. Another question that I received in the chat from Anna is, if our agency is a sponsor and we have tickets for part of it, do I need to register here, meaning at the registration page? And Kira, because you and Monica were the ones who went through the laborious process of setting those registrations up, I'm going to kick this question to the two of you.
So the short answer is I would ask your agency, because depending on the sponsor level, some sponsors have the higher the level of sponsor. Speaking of which, let me go ahead and drop our sponsor registration link in the chat. We are also always still looking for sponsors. But as I was saying, the higher the sponsor level, the more tickets that sponsor is given. So your organization may have extra tickets to give out to you and they may not. So I would ask them. And if they don't, you would register the same place as the other attendees as well, that I believe Ed has also dropped in the chat. If that answers your question.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Kira. I believe that it does. I want to let Karen and Martha know, I see your hands. I just want to knock out these questions that were received closer to the beginning real quick, and we will get to you. So Jenna asks, my son's self-determination program is set to begin with the FMS on December 1st. Do I wait until then to register, or do I request that the regional center fund it now? So my impulse would be to say, request for them to fund it now,
Me too.
right away, as soon as possible. Can I get, oh my goodness, sorry. Can I get any backup on that?
I think.
I think your banging in the background was all the backup we needed. That was it. That was like, yes, with a bang. Get started on it, and contact me, Monica at dvunited.org, through the process. But, you know, there's going to be a transition and we will work with you. You know, if the regional center funds it, they'll send me the POS. The thing is, the regional center can get started on this now and fund it. So start talking to them on what to do.
Thank you, Monica. I'm going to answer one last question very quickly. And we'll be going back and forth between between the hands that are raised and this question list. Tandra asks, is this mainly prep for the conference? And is there any training tonight? Also, would you recommend anyone coming to the conference to learn about the self-determination program if they're not in it? Great questions, Tandra. I think I can answer both of them, but anyone please cut in. This is mainly preparation for the conference. I'm sure we will get questions about the self-determination program generally, but we're not off. We have already presented everything we're going to present. So the presentation was mainly about the conference. The second question, would you recommend anyone coming to the conference to learn about the self-determination program if they're not in it? I would, provided you understand that this conference is not, and this conference's purpose is not intended to be SDP 101. It's not intended to teach you about every little aspect of the program you'll need to know before going in. Although I do have a resource called the Self-Determination Interchange, I will post in the chat for you that does that has a bunch of these videos just like this that are actually on the self-determination program that might be able to help you there. I would recommend people who are interested in the self-determination program come to this conference so that you know, A, the details of the program that you're interested in, you know what you're dealing with, and B, you'll have a head start if you happen to run into any barriers. When you do decide, or if you do decide to enter the program, you'll already know what to do, and you'll already have resources, and you already have a network because of this conference to help you, support you through that. Any comments on that? Anything I missed?
I totally agree with that, Ed. Completely agree with that. I think that you will get a sense. It would be great if you, Darlene and I were talking about, like, you know, kind of go to our YouTube channel or the Interchange, and you can have a binge watch of our many how-to, you know, the step-by-steps that are in there. That's great, but it is not necessary. There's no prerequisites for joining the conference. And I think the exposure, I am sure of this, no matter what, you know, no matter what your level of knowledge is, I think there is so much to be gotten from it, because as Ed said, undeniably, there will be issues no matter where you're at, you know, as you're starting this, and to have an understanding of, oh, I know what those IFs were talking about, that directive. What's a directive? You will get, I don't have a doubt in saying you will get so much out of this, even if you know nothing. But there are ways to get if you want to be in a prep mode, we've got so much for you on our website, Interchange, YouTube channel. So I agree with Ed completely. I always agree with Ed. So
Thank you, Nina. And speaking of the interchange, I am literally just about to post the link. I am sorry, my computer is taking a second, but we have the self-determination interchange in both English and Spanish. So I'm going to pop that in here, and that's now in the chat. And in a minute, I will be posting some videos because people have asked, hey, what's a good SDP 101 video then? Great question. I'll post a couple of links to videos in a second. I do want to move to the questions that we have in raised hands.
Yes.
So Karen, I'm going to unmute you, and if you could go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Hi. Last year, we did it, the registrations changed compared to last year. And now that we have, the POSs to cover this. Although our committee last year voted on having a certain amount for any of our self-determination consumers to purchase tickets to registration, and the regional center covered it due to the funding that we received for our local area board for self-determination. We didn't use all that money up last year, and so there is some funds still there, and I want to vote on that again this year for the conference. How does that affect the POS situation, or should I say, can that be on top of that under when you're registering? Would you register under the same under regional center?
Right.
And
I
would
think I know where you're
differentiate
going.
it? Yeah.
That is a complicated one. I would say register with regional center funding. Give us that information, but send me a follow-up email and I'll work with you. Which regional center are you working with, Karen?
Valleymont Regional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you might not be the only one. So there might be a group of you that we will just receive one payment for. As long as
Right.
I have that confirmation, then I'll make sure that you're all able to access the conference. But I think the most appropriate would be regional center, because you are in a way, funded through the regional center.
Right.
And we'll keep that side conversation going because it is specific and it doesn't fall directly into that category.
And to tell you the truth, sometimes with the POS, it's more difficult to get that going, and the process sometimes takes longer. So,
Yeah.
and if we
Right.
have this extra money and the committee votes on it and says, yeah, let's use it up, then, it would make sense to go under that vendor, but then we have to have some type of resource of where the funds are coming from.
Right. And I think, like I'm seeing in the comments, that Cecilia indicated that her advisory committee is a barrier too. So depending on which group you're working with, which advisory committee, which regional center, you're going to have different barriers, different outcomes. So start the process now. Keep me in the loop. The bottom line is we want everyone there, and we're going to do our best to work with you to get you there.
Okay, but you would definitely register under the regional center, and then the funding for, even if it's a professional they decide to cover or whatever.
We'll figure it out, because then we'll receive the payment for the professional rate. I think everyone should register themselves. So that professional would register under professional and follow up with me directly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Tim, did you have something you wanted to add to that? No. Okay.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you, Monica. Next up is Martha. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, hello. I think it was Nina or someone said, about part of this being, you know, for sustainability, and I really like that. I wasn't sure initially when I started this Zoom whether I'd stay on it, but I got to endorse it and really say, like my nephew, I'm a family member, is starting December 1st, and we've already experienced a lot of barriers. And at first I didn't want to go into it, but now more and more I'm like feeling it. And I just want to say thank you for doing this. I look forward to attending the conference. And I'm just gonna cough up the 75 because this is one piece I don't feel like dealing with the regional center. You know, there are some things that actually, you know, I have found as a family member, you know, we pay for other things for our family. There are some things we can take responsibility for. And if you have the means, you know, to do. And I think for me, this is one thing I want to learn, because I think I would like to get more involved so that this can be sustainable. In the area I'm in, which is Napa, North Bay Regional Center, people don't even want to bother with this. And I think they don't know what they're missing. And yes, there are barriers, but if you get with the right people, you can get through it. That's all. I just want to make the comment.
Thanks, Martha. You're a great cheerleader for self-determination.
And thank you for talking about and thinking about spreading the word. If you're in your area, it's not widely known, because, you know, the reaction from, if you haven't either experienced it or go to deep dive and do at the conference, the reaction could easily be, oh, this is too much. I can't deal. But if you can get the word out, I'm so glad you're coming to the conference, and we'll connect in a wonder room.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Next up, I have Santiago. Please unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi, I got a question. I already pre-registered online, but I'm kind of confused because I'm already in STP. So am I supposed to let my FMS know, or are you guys supposed to do that?
I can answer that question. Santiago, this is Monica. You take the next step with your FMS and let them know. One question is, do you already have a conference in your spending plan?
Yes, I think so. It's under like education and something.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So then you want to fill that in with this specific conference and start taking those next steps with the FMS. And feel free to keep me in the loop. Monica@dvunited.org. You'll see my contact information. And if you're already registered, then I'll keep an eye out there. But definitely everyone with regional center funding and FMS funding, you take the first steps with the regional center or the FMS.
All right, because it's been several weeks, so I have no word, so I'll try it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. Great question. I want to take another question from Judy, and then we have a couple of questions in chat I'd like to go to. So Judy, please go ahead and unmute.
Okay. Okay, am I on? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Yes, hi. So yeah, I put a question in the chat earlier about roles and responsibilities. And the reason I ask is, and I wanted to get everyone's perspective on this. My 21-year-old, he's months away from aging out of his school program. And after talking to the Regional Center East Bay case manager supervisor, I'm kind of feeling like we should start the self-determination process as part of this adult transition, but I feel like I barely even know what self-determination is. You know, we went through the orientation, there's still so many things and so many questions, and I don't even know what questions I have questions on. But I told them that because there's a large array of resources at his school, it's an autism specific program down in Santa Cruz, and an entire team down there, that I wanted to get them involved in the planning process because they know my son better than we do, you know, outside of just being at home, especially in a school setting, which is year round. Is it too premature for us to have said yes to that? Because our first SDP meeting is going to be on the 19th of this month. And I'm wondering if it made sense to have given them the authority to go ahead and start the self. So we're going to start with the person-centered planning process. And the reason I was, and this is just a gut feeling that to say yes, because I want to bring in the OT, the speech therapist, the behaviorist, the classroom teacher from the school, who I already have monthly meetings with to just talk about everything and anything about how he's doing. And since we're only months away from him fully exiting and we don't get that resource and connection with them after that, does it make sense to have jumped ahead and told Regional Center, yes, let's start this person-centered planning, even though we're not sure if they're going to be guiding us correctly on this?
Nina, what do you think?
I would say, no, it's not premature. I think first, a person's, starting your thinking about, these are people who you feel understand your son, know,
His
support
abilities.
information capture. He's going to be aging out. So you want, if they're a part of a circle of support or people who are, would have valuable input into his person-centered plan, I don't see a downside to that in any way, shape, or form. And remember, the person-centered plan, it's a living document. It isn't like absolutely cut in stone, but while people are still, sort of on board and are in his team, I would say absolutely include them and start the process. And, you can have pre-planning meetings. They can be at some or all of those, and then, or the larger meeting, get input. I guess I may be missing something, but to me, I don't see a downside to getting their input. What do you think, Darlene?
No, I think so. I think just know that having been in that transition to school and adult life on so many teams, that you're probably not going to get the whole transition done before June. Okay. So
He
don't
ages
stress
out in
about that.
August. Yeah. And I was told it's about a 6-month process, which is why I told them right away to just start it. Because I think what I'm aiming for, this is based on the Transition 101 training that that's happening this month, where they said that it is a person-centered training document. All this time I thought it was a concept, but it's an actually living document that really puts in all the different aspects of what his future plans might look like, right? I do understand it can change, but it is my aim to get that document put together with the input of his school team before he transitions out in August.
It's not all about school. You have a whole lot of people in your life probably that are going to be participating. This is not about professional. Get out of the IEP life world. You're leaving that.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's going to be people like family people who are involved. Just know that, yes, they say that, some of your professionals, if you like them, if they have valuable information, if you're right on the same page as them, absolutely use them as a resource. But just one more worry, because again, this has happened so many times. School systems, when they go on break on extended school year in the summertime, remember, not all the same professionals work. So if they're not working, will they give you the reports and the information and stuff that you want? So don't take it lightly. I would still mark time by the end of the school year, not the summertime. Use summer as an extra bonus for yourself. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a year-round program, so it's always the same staff. But okay. Yeah, I just wanted to be sure that I'm not depending just on Regional Center to guide us through this process. Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the bottom line is yes, to move forward with this. Okay, good. Thank you. Learn as we go.
Thank you, Judy. And also, I just wanted to let you know, I have copied and pasted some resources in the chat for you, just in case. And let me copy and paste another one on person-centered planning. This is a video that we did, an SDP Connect that we did that you might find helpful as you continue the process. So I'm gonna Sorry, Candy, Tim gets to cut the line. So I'm gonna go to Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
I have to make this comment. I fully understand that it's a hassle at trying to regional center and your FMS pay for this conference, but think about those who cannot afford to pay out of pocket. Even it's a pain in the butt at getting regional centers and FMS paying for the self-determination conference. We are making a statement that we want the program to continue on and the program is for all, and the community is making a statement that we want SDP to be successful. It shows regional centers that we have a voice and willing to go through the hassle of getting funding for the conference.
Yeah, I think you're right, Tim. And I think it also shows that no one's going away, right? If you're just being ignored, it's like, yeah, well, we're still here and we're organizing. So thank you for that comment, Tim. I am gonna go to Candy. And after that, I have a whole list of really good questions, some about the conference and some not. So go ahead, Candy.
Hi, I'm so happy that you guys are doing this again. I attended last year and it was so fabulous. Actually, I attended the very first one in person. And so this will be my third time around. But in case somebody else does this mistake that I just realized tonight, I'm so glad I'm listening in. I went ahead and sent the flyer to my daughter's CSE to go ahead and process, but I did not register. So now I know I need to register first. So just in case somebody else might have done what I did and jumped the gun, as soon as I saw the conference pop up, I immediately forwarded it to my daughter's CSC. And I'm hoping that we're with Inland Regional Center. And I did forward a message to you guys to ask if you've heard anything in regards to it, but I'll follow up with Monica, but also I'll register. I can't believe I didn't do that. Anyway, in case somebody else did the same exact dodo brain thing I did, I just wanted to speak up and say register.
Thank you for that, Candy. This is a bit of a bureaucratic process. I don't think that it's dodo brained at all to try and get a jump on things and then realize that you maybe might have missed a step. And as Kira has said in the chat, we're so glad you're excited. And yes, please email Monica. Again, it's monica@dbunited.org. If there are any problems or if you need to connect back with her after not having registered first. So I'm real quick gonna hit a couple of questions from my very long list. And then Grace, I wanna let you know I see your hand raised. We'll go to you after we hit a couple of these questions. So I have a question from Diane. Can a parent of a regional center client who is an adult do the person-centered plan and get paid for it by the regional center? I believe not. Nina, can you speak to that, please? You need to unmute, Nina.
Sorry about that, Ed. Just repeat that one more time.
Diane has asked if the parent of a regional center adult or regional center client who's an adult can do the person-centered plan and get paid for it. I said my impulse is a hard no, but I wanted to check with you.
You know, it's certainly not, I think we would, you know, there's funding available to cover someone to do the person-centered plan. I don't know that it is an absolute, you know, prohibition, but I'm going to check on that and get, you know, we'll post that and see. I don't think it's an absolute prohibition. And if there are IFs on who are, you know, who want to jump in, but I know that we always encourage using those funds to get, you know, get help. It's there for you to get help for, you know, from an IF or a person-centered planner or some, you know, and, you know, that I think that's strongly encouraged, but I will go, I don't want to mislead, and we'll go, you know, we can go back and.
Thank you for that correction, Nina. And just to underline something Nina has said, because I have heard Judy say this so many times that I can hear her speaking it in my mind right now. As Nina said, we always encourage people to make use of those transition funds. Judy has spoken about this many times and said that she found the person-centered planning process, Judy's a parent for people who are not aware. She found the person-centered planning process invaluable for her and for her adult son, because she found out things about him that she had never known before. And I've heard from other parents who have done person-centered plans with their kids who used an independent facilitator the same. I have also heard from Judy that it is her opinion that she was too close as a parent to be able to do that really deep investigative person-centered planning process, and that bringing a professional in, which they'll give you money to do, the regional center will give you money to do, was really, really valuable. So I just wanted to underline that very quickly. Our next question that I really wanted to make sure that I highlighted, this is an anonymous question that said, we appealed an unmet need. The regional center offered hours, but they specified in the budget how they were to be used. First of all, can they do that? Can they specify how my hours are going to be used? Pardon me. And is the information that they offered regarding the hours confidential? Or excuse me, is the information that they offered the hours confidential? I.e., can it not be used in court if we press forward? So Nina, Darlene, anybody, that is way above my level of expertise.
And once again, just go over the beginning of that again, just so I understand the setup.
Sure. This person appealed an unmet need. The regional center offered them hours, but they specified in the budget how those hours to be used. So this person would like to know, can they specify how the hours are supposed to be used? And also, is the fact that they offered those hours confidential? Can they not bring that up in court if they continue on with this issue?
You know, I mean, everything is so fact specific, and there may be things that, it's hard to opine on. But first of all, I can't imagine they would specify how hours are supposed to be used. The budget has hours in it, and they would load that in for saying that's building the budget you're going to get. And then in your spending plan, you take that money that they said you're authorized for this many hours of respite or whatever, fill in the blanks, and you need to use it. Well, that's not where you specify the use. That's what you specify your eligibility. It's an unmet need that you should have gotten, or you will need a certain amount of hours that translates into money. Then in your spending plan, that's where you say, I have my budget, it's built on these things. And in your spending plan is where you decide how you're spending that money. So I'm just it's a little confusing. So I think, on the budget end, in terms of those budget negotiations, unless it's kind of depends on the facts of your situation. If you were somehow in like a mediation, or there was some kind of understanding that this was going to be confidential, absent that, I don't think that it is. Absent, you agreeing or signing on to, we're going to keep this confidential, but right. It shouldn't be. You should be able to say, this is the process. I was, this wasn't enough. I still have my issues with this. And, our unmet need is broader than that, or whatever your issues are that you may have to do on appeal. So everything is so fact specific, but I do think just conceptually, it's hard to understand when there's a budget versus spending plan.
And to clarify, Nina, I received some additional information. This person said, yes, they absolutely did specify it must be used for the exact same number of PA, I think that stands for personal assistant hours in the SDP. And they told us they would withdraw the offer if we didn't agree. So, and some additional information for that.
Okay, well, it's again hard to opine on, these kinds of, specific cases, but that seems, maybe that's part of whatever kind of negotiating going on. But and people again out there, IFs and all, who've had, other experiences like this, feel free to, chime in. But that seems,
I think That's not the intent of self-determination. That
Exactly.
is not the intent. So when I'm having those kinds of experiences, it seems that those regional centers that are saying things like that are kind of taking liberty with the intent and making up a different definition. So, again, that's something you can do with DRC, Department of Disability Rights, California. You can do with your local planning, right, Tim? Would that be something you could bring up to your group, not your personal group, but the group designed to work with self-determination, the committees? Yeah, so you can bring that up to each regional center has, what is it called, Nina?
Local advisory committees, and that's a great,
yes.
that is a great idea. I think that's a kind of fact pattern without you don't have to reveal your, specifics, but just say, how is this, like, let's discuss
How is
this.
this happening? Yes.
How does this comport with, the way a spending plan's supposed to work, which is what you, the decision on. So, I mean, I think like Darlene said, there's lots of avenues, but it does sound like the family is working through some sort of appeal process, but and very much good luck with that, because it seems way too prohibitively so hyper, specific and controlling in a way that SDP is not designed to be.
Okay, we just have a few more minutes here, so we're going to rush through these answers next. You're muted, Ed.
I want to remind folks, please speak at a moderate pace for our interpreters. And I also want to remind folks, please try and avoid crosstalk, because it makes it really difficult for them to do their jobs. So I'm going to hit one last question from the questions document I have up in front of me. And then, Grace, I promised you we would get you. And then we're going to get as many people in as we can before we have to stop taking questions for the night. So we are at 12 minutes. So just the heads up, folks, that we're in the wind down portion of the event. So Miriam has asked, can I move unused funds at the end of the spending plan year to a category where I know I can still use it? It would probably take longer to move the funds within the spending year, but I know the FMS has a grace period where they can still deal with the past spending plan. So can I request to move the funds 2 weeks before the end of the spending plan year? Sounds like Tim wants to weigh in on that.
Ed, I know that if you have a quick question to answer here, Tim wouldn't mind you doing that while he's generating his answer for this question.
Got it. Another very quick question from Araceli. The regional center paid for a self-determination class for me before. Can they authorize this conference for me too? My understanding is yes, they can, but it has to be in your spending plan. Can anyone else elaborate on this?
No, that would be right.
Yeah,
that would be it.
Sounds good. Tim, you're still typing. Okay. I have another very quick question. I have no shortage of these. I was told, this is from Maria, I apologize. I was told by the FMS, the background check is paid by the employee. Can the background check be charged to the participant? I think this is a really good question. Anyone with an answer?
Again, Tim probably knows the answer, but
what a great topic for our panel on labor law at the conference.
Right, which we will have.
We have someone in the chat, Melissa, who says she can answer that. We
Okay,
will look
Melissa.
eagerly to the chat, Melissa.
Just a heads up that we are now at 10 minutes. This is our 10
Or she has her
warning.
hands up.
Yes, I have just unmuted her. Go ahead, Melissa, and let us
Okay.
know.
So number one, there's a difference between a background check and a life scan. A background check is typically free. If you're asking for a life scan, then there is a cost for that. GT Independence does pay for the life scan. The other FMSs do not pay for that. So now I'm just giving you my opinion, but it can't be paid by the spending plan because you're not in self-determination yet. So my daughter's been in self-determination since 2019, and I typically pay for the staff's life scan if that's something that I want to do. Okay, but there's a difference between a life scan and a background check.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you for that. It looks like Tim's still typing. Tim, feel free to cut in whenever you are prepared. Someone in the chat says, Kay Howard in the chat says, DDS is confusing. And I just want to elevate that. I have so much respect for the self-advocates and the supporters and the professionals who have to navigate the system every day.
Can we go to Grace? Because I know we're running out of time. She's been waiting.
Absolutely. Great suggestion, Darlene. Grace, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and please go ahead and ask your question. Thank you for waiting. And Karen, I know Tim is muted, but he can unmute himself. I've given him permission to do that in the back end. So go ahead, Grace. Oh, I'm sorry, Grace. I accidentally muted you when I was trying to ask you to unmute. Please unmute again.
Now?
Great.
There you go.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for Disability Voices United. I've been listening in for the past couple of years, off and on. I am in my third year of the self-determination. And obviously I've had it all. So my question is, I love listening because every time I've listened, I always learn something different. And I think for all those parents that say, is it worth it? Yes, it is. It's worth continuing to listen and getting ideas from other parents and kind of strategizing how you're going to approach your plan for your child. My first question was, for example, obviously, you know, there's always little hiccups that run into the self-determination. And if I appeal, is there any advocacy funding for the appeal process, or does the parents have to pay for it? If there's an appeal or a hearing, if, you know, the unmet needs are not met, or if regional saying, well, that's how they used to conduct it, but not anymore.
Nina?
Well,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go. No, you're good, you're good.
In general, there's not any kind of funding for that, although you can get some help in bringing the appeal. Like if you can interest DRC or Office of Clients' Rights Advocates, things like that. And legal aid, we are always in the background. DRC and DVU and the ICC, we've all been working to get the interests of the legal aid community,
Yeah.
you know, in our process. So, you know, there's help out there. But there is, in terms of SDP, I believe in the services that there's a list, like you'll see it in the manual, you know, on the DDS website. I was just about to copy and paste the FAQ part of the DDS website. You know, I think some legal services can be put in the spending plan. Now, I know Judy has said, Ed probably remembers this over time, that adds up quickly, and you know, that could just knock your budget complete. I mean, your spending plan and your budget just completely, you know, out of it. So that's pretty dicey to, you know, maybe use the spending plan for that. There is some, you could go over the list of services that are federally authorized to be funded through the SDP. And I believe there is a legal services component, but I would, you know, I think our general recommendation would be to proceed with caution to use your spending plan for that. But there is help to be got out there in, you know, if that's what you think you need.
Yeah. Obviously, you would use all the free services available out there, to be able to, resolve and to work together in getting the funding. I have my second question is, like, for example, every year, there is a central plan funding for that person. Let's say if you need assistance when you have your IEP, could you use that, or is it a one-time funding for the person central plan?
Well, the transition funding is a one-time funding.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
there's some aspect, those definitions that are in there are so broad. There might be an angle to look at to kind of do a renewal, but your IPP, when you the preparation for that, I think that you should discuss, like, look, I think our person-centered plan needs an overhaul, and what can we do about that? And that's worth a discussion, but the actual, that initial one, that's a set funding pool.
Oh, I see. And does that carry over to the other years? And if there's changes or anything like that, or does it stay the same?
No, the transition is just the transition. Once you're in, that's done.
It's in. Oh, okay. Okay. And let me ask you another question. I'm sorry, I'm asking so many questions.
I'm
Let's
really
say-
sorry, Grace. I apologize. I have to cut you off because we're moving towards
Okay.
the end of the of SDP Connect, and I still want Tim to speak.
Oh,
So
okay.
I apologize. Thank you so much for bringing your questions. They're excellent. Tim is going to have the last word, and then I'm going to play us out. My sincere apologies to the people whose questions we weren't able to answer today. Tim, take it away.
When you change anything on your spending plan, you have to resubmit your new spending plan to your regional center, and then it may take 2 weeks or a month for regional center to send out a new POS to the FMS. I went through the exact same thing with my budget with the FMS fees. I decided not to revise my spending plan and reallocate the FMS to something else because I'm starting my second year next month, and it's not worth my time or my independent facilitator time to revise my spending plan for the next 3 weeks. It's really up to your regional center on how fast they can go with the revised spending plan.
Thank you so much for that, Tim. I think that that's really important to hear a practical perspective on this from someone who's in the program and who actually knows how long it typically takes to get this done. So folks, we are at the end of our time together. And real quick, I just wanted to talk at the end of our time together about what you can look forward to from us in the next month. So the next SDP Connect will be Wednesday, October 26th, and it's going to be on a topic very close to my heart, self-determination and supported decision-making. And Tuesday, October, oh, Darlene, you might have to help me out. Nope.
October 18th.
October 18th. Thank you, Darlene. Tuesday, October 18th, we're going to be having a Communication Access Connect that's going to be dealing with communication partners, who they are, why they're important, how come it's so darn hard to get people to understand how crucial they are for many people's communication access. So these are going to be 2 really gangbusters events. Judy's going to be back at the next SDP Connect. So everyone come back and say happy birthday to her, because it's going to be her birthday. So we'll have to, I don't know what, but I'm gonna find a way to do like a special Zoom background for her. And thank you so much for joining us today, folks. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this conference. Thank you to our fabulous interpreters, and thank you to our wonderful staff who put this presentation together. So I'm going to end the meeting now, but we're really glad that you spent this time with us, and we hope you'll join us in the weeks to come. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.